Professor Kelvin 9 had been teaching xenobiology for 300 cycles, and he thought he had seen everything. He was wrong. The lecture hall buzzed with the usual pre-class chatter. 74 students from 18 different species filled the tiered seats, their various appendages tapping on data pads or adjusting environmental suits. Kelvin 9, a Raxian with 4 optical sensors and skin that shifted colors based on his mood, currently displaying confident streaks of purple, stood at the front preparing his presentation. Today's topic: apex predators across the galaxy. Settle down, he announced, his voice carrying through the hall's acoustic enhancers. The chatter died to whispers, then silence. Today we will examine the most dangerous predators known to galactic science. This footage has been compiled over centuries. Some of you may find it disturbing. A Quillarian student in the third row, her feathers ruffling nervously, raised a tentacle. "Professor, how disturbing are we talking?" "Very," Kelvin 9 replied, his skin flickering orange with excitement. "We will witness hunting techniques that defy conventional survival strategies. Creatures that should not exist according to standard evolutionary models yet somehow dominate their ecosystems." He dimmed the lights. The massive holographic display flickered to life. First up, the razor wing of Theta 9, a flying nightmare with a wingspan of 12 meters, serrated edges along every feather, and a beak that could puncture reinforced steel. The footage showed it diving at speeds that made several students gasp. The razor wing struck its prey, a lumbering herbivore 3 times its size, with such force that the impact crater was visible from orbit. "Notice," Kelvin 9 lectured, pausing the footage, "the calculated trajectory. The razor wing accounts for wind resistance, prey movement, and even the rotation of its planet. Pure instinct, refined over millions of years." Next came the abyssal lurker from the oceanic depths of Kepler-4 R2b. This thing was nightmare fuel. Bioluminescent lures, countless teeth arranged in concentric circles, and the ability to unhinge its jaw to swallow prey twice its own size. The footage showed it ambushing a school of aquatic creatures, moving with impossible speed despite its bulk. A Xinthian student made a clicking sound of distress. Several others looked away. Terrifying, yes. Kelvin 9's skin was now bright yellow with enthusiasm. But wait, there is more. He cycled through predator after predator. The pack stalkers of Ventra 7, who hunted in coordinated groups of 30, using complex tactical formations that military strategists studied. The Titan crushers of Gravity World 5, massive beyond comprehension, who could sense vibrations through solid rock from kilometers away. The swarm queens of Hive 13, controlling thousands of drones with chemical signals, overwhelming prey through sheer numbers. Each creature was more terrifying than the last. Each had evolved to be the ultimate killer in its environment. Then, Kelvin 9 noticed something odd. One student sitting quietly in the middle section hadn't reacted. Not once. Not to the razor wing. Not to the abyssal lurker. Not to any of the human girl. Her name was Emma Reed. She was one of only 12 humans attending Galactic University this cycle. Humans were new to the galactic community, having achieved faster-than-light travel just 40 standard years ago. Most species were still figuring them out. Emma sat with her chin resting on her hand, looking almost bored. No, not bored. Something else. Her expression was difficult to read. Kelvin 9 decided to continue. He had saved the best, or rather the worst, for last. And now, he announced dramatically, the creature that tops our list, the most efficient predator we have ever documented. The apex of apex predators. The holographic display shifted. Gasps echoed through the hall. The footage showed a planet covered in ice and snow. Harsh winds whipped across a frozen wasteland. And there, moving across the white expanse, was the creature, the pale death of Frostholm 3. It was massive. 4 meters tall at the shoulder, covered in thick white fur that made it nearly invisible against the snow. Its paws were the size of dinner plates, equipped with retractable claws as long as daggers. But the terrifying part, the head, powerful jaws filled with teeth designed for one purpose only: killing. The pale death, Kelvin 9 explained, his skin now a cautious green, has no natural predators. None. It sits at the absolute top of its food chain. It can smell prey from 30 kilometers away. It can run at speeds of 60 kilometers per hour despite weighing over 700 kilograms. It has the strength to kill creatures 10 times its size with a single bite. And perhaps most frightening of all, it is patient. The footage showed a pale death stalking a herd of grazing animals. But it wasn't rushing in. It was waiting, watching, calculating. It will follow prey for days, Kelvin 9 continued. Weeks, if necessary. Waiting for the perfect moment. The moment when the prey is weakest, most vulnerable, and then the pale death struck. The speed was shocking. One moment, it was 30 meters away. The next, its jaws were clamped around its prey's neck. The kill was efficient, brutal. Over in seconds, the lecture hall was dead silent. Several students had their eyes closed. One Quillarian looked like she might faint. This, Kelvin 9 said solemnly, is what evolution creates when it has millions of years in harsh conditions. This is nature's perfect killing machine. That's when Emma raised her hand. Kelvin 9 blinked 2 of his 4 eyes in surprise. Yes, Miss Reed. Emma stood up. She was small compared to most species in the room. Barely 1.6 meters tall, slight build, with dark hair tied back in a simple ponytail. She wore standard university attire, and looked completely unremarkable. Professor, she said, her voice calm and clear, I have a question. Please, go ahead. What you just showed us. That footage of the, pale death. Yes, Emma tilted her head slightly. That's a polar bear, right? The lecture hall somehow became even quieter. You could have heard a pin drop in a vacuum. Kelvin 9's skin flickered through several colors rapidly. Confusion. I am sorry, what? A polar bear, Emma repeated. From Earth. My home planet. The professor checked his data pad, his appendages moving frantically. No. This creature is from Frostholm 3, a planet in the Outer Rim. It has been designated the galaxy's most dangerous predator by the Xenobiology Council themselves. Emma pulled out her own data pad. A few taps later, she held it up. The screen showed an image that was identical to the creature in the holographic display. Polar bear, she said again. Ursus maritimus. We have about 26,000 of them. They mostly live in the Arctic regions of Earth. My uncle is a wildlife photographer. He took this picture last year in a place called Svalbard. Kelvin 9 stared at the image, then at his own display, then back at the image. His skin was now a color it had never been before, a sort of pale, sickly beige. That cannot be correct. Frostholm 3 is light years from Earth. The evolutionary convergence would be impossible, unless they're the same species, Emma finished. Professor, I think someone made a mistake. That's not an alien predator. That's just a bear from Earth. A Morthan student in the front row, his scales rattling with agitation, spoke up. Impossible. The pale death is the most feared creature in that entire sector. Colonies have been established with special protocols just to avoid them. You are saying this thing lives on your home world? Emma shrugged. I mean, yeah. We have safety protocols too. Don't get between a mother and her cubs. Don't leave food out. Make noise when hiking in their territory so you don't surprise them. Basic stuff. The Morthan repeated faintly. Another student, a Kellian whose vocal sacs were inflating with stress, asked, How many sentient beings has this creature killed on your world? Oh, not many, Emma replied. Maybe a few dozen over the last century. Usually people who did something really stupid, like trying to pet them or getting too close. Most bears want nothing to do with humans. The lecture hall exploded into noise. Students were talking over each other, some standing, others frantically checking their own data pads. The Quillarian girl looked like she was hyperventilating. Wait, shouted a Draxian from the back, his 3 mouths all speaking in unison. You are telling us that you have apex predators of this caliber just wandering around your planet, and you call them bears? That is the name you gave to a perfect killing machine. Bears, Emma nodded. Well, polar bears specifically. We have other bears too. Brown bears, black bears, panda bears, though pandas mostly just eat bamboo. Sun bears, sloth bears. How many types of bears do you have? The Draxian demanded. 8 species, I think. Maybe more subspecies. Professor Kelvin 9 was experiencing what could only be described as an academic crisis. His skin was cycling through colors so fast it was giving some students headaches. Miss Reed, please, you must understand. This creature, this polar bear, represents the peak of predatory evolution in our database. Are you truly suggesting that multiple creatures of similar or greater danger simply exist on Earth? Well, Emma said thoughtfully, bears aren't even our most dangerous land predators. They're up there. Sure, but they are not your most dangerous? This came from at least 15 students simultaneously. Emma winced at the volume. Could everyone maybe calm down a bit? You're all acting like Earth is some kind of death world? The silence that followed was heavy with implication. Emma looked around at the staring faces, at the expressions of dawning horror, at Professor Kelvin 9, whose skin had settled on a pale, shocked white. Oh, she said quietly. Oh no, you're serious. You all actually think. Wait, What kind of planets are you all from? A Zilothian student with trembling antennae answered, my homeworld has a surface temperature variation of only 15 degrees annually. The most dangerous creature is the bramble hopper, which can jump very high and has mildly toxic saliva. Mine has predators, offered Araxian, but they are small, ambush hunters that prey on creatures no larger than your hand. My species evolved on a world where the apex predator was a flying creature about this big, Achelian said, holding his appendages about half a meter apart, and it was considered a planetary crisis. Emma was beginning to understand. What about extreme weather? Hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions? The students exchanged glances. Professor Kelvin 9 spoke carefully. Miss Reed, most habitable worlds are geologically stable. Extreme weather is rare. My homeworld experiences mild rainstorms perhaps twice a year. That is considered dramatic. Right, Emma said slowly. Right. Okay, so when I mention that Earth has storms that can flatten entire cities or waves that reach 30 meters high, or that our ground literally splits open and swallows buildings, your planet is actively trying to kill you? The Quilarian girl had found her voice again and it was approaching panic levels. Well, not trying, Emma corrected. It's just active. Geologically speaking, we have weather patterns and tectonic activity. It's normal. It is not normal, shouted half the class. Professor Kelvin 9 held up his appendages for silence. It took several attempts. When the noise finally died down, he spoke with the careful precision of someone whose entire worldview was being reconstructed in real time. Miss Reed. Emma. Please, help me understand. You are saying that Earth, your homeworld, has multiple apex predators of equivalent or greater danger than the Pale Death, that it experiences extreme weather events regularly, that it has geological instability, and yet humans have not only survived, but thrived enough to develop space travel. I mean, when you put it like that, it sounds dramatic, Emma said. But yeah, pretty much. How? The question came from everywhere at once. Emma thought about it. We adapted? We learned. We're pretty good at solving problems. You know, opposable thumbs, big brains, social cooperation. The usual, repeated the Morthan student, his voice hollow. Professor Kelvin 9 made a decision. His skin shifted to determined red. Class, we are taking a brief intermission. 15 minutes. Miss Reed, please remain. I need to verify some information. The other students filed out slowly, many glancing back at Emma with expressions ranging from awe to terror. The whispers started before they even reached the door. Did you hear? Multiple bears. Multiple apex predators. 30-meter waves. 30 meters. The ground splits open. They live on a planet where the ground splits open. No wonder they achieved spaceflight so quickly. They were probably trying to escape. When the room was empty except for Emma and the professor, Kelvin 9 pulled up a galactic database on his display. Show me, he said simply. Emma connected her datapad to the system. Okay, so if we're talking apex predators, we should probably start with the ocean. That's where the really big ones are. She pulled up an image. A massive creature, easily 15 meters long, with a mouth full of triangular teeth and dead black eyes. Great white shark, she said. Top ocean predator in many regions. Can bite with a force of 18,000 newtons. Kelvin 9's skin went pale again. And this lives in your oceans? Do humans avoid the oceans? No, we swim in them. For fun. We surf, we dive, we fish. Shark attacks are pretty rare, honestly. They usually mistake us for seals. They mistake you for other prey. You are not even their primary food source and they still occasionally eat you? Well, yeah, but it's not personal. Emma scrolled through more images. Then we have orcas, killer whales. They hunt in packs, have complex communication, and they've been known to take down great white sharks, creatures that hunt the hunters. Kelvin 9 whispered. Saltwater crocodiles. 7 meters long, bite force even stronger than sharks. They do something called a death roll where they grab prey and spin until it drowns or gets torn apart. The professor's skin was now cycling between colors so fast it was strobing. Please stop. Oh, and we have land predators too. Lions, tigers, leopards, jaguars, all big cats. They're ambush hunters with retractable claws and— Miss Reed. Emma paused. Yes, Professor. Kelvin 9 took several deep breaths through his respiratory slits. I need you to understand something. In all my years studying xenobiology across hundreds of worlds, I have never encountered a planet with this density of apex predators. Most worlds have one, perhaps two if the ecosystems are particularly complex. You are describing dozens. Earth is pretty biodiverse. Emma agreed. It is not biodiversity. It is a gauntlet. A testing ground. A struggled for words. Miss Reed, by every metric we use to classify planets, Earth should be listed as a Class 9 hazard world. The kind of planet we send robotic probes to. Not colonists, Emma frowned. But millions of species live there just fine. Including us. Yes, Kelvin 9 said, and his skin settled into a color Emma had never seen before. Something like deep purple mixed with gold. Exactly. Including you. Do you understand what that means? Before Emma could answer, the door burst open. A university administrator, a tall Flexarian with multiple eye stalks, rushed in clutching a datapad. Professor Kelvin 9, we have a problem. A big problem. The Xenobiology Council just contacted us. They want to speak with your human student immediately. What? Why? The administrator's eye stalks were waving frantically. Because students from your class are posting on the galactic net. About the polar bear. About Earth. It is spreading fast. Very fast. The whole galaxy is about to find out that humans come from a death world. Emma raised her hand again. Is that bad? Both the professor and the administrator turned to look at her. Miss Reed, Kelvin 9 said slowly, I believe we need to have a much longer conversation. About Earth. About humans. And about why the rest of the galaxy might be absolutely terrified of your species. Emma sat down heavily. This is going to be a long day, isn't it? Miss Reed, the professor replied. This is going to be a long semester. The conference room on the 73rd floor of the university's administrative tower had been designed for comfort. Soft lighting, temperature control for multiple species, ergonomic seating that adjusted to various body types. Right now, though, comfortable was the last thing anyone felt. Emma sat at one end of a long table, feeling distinctly like she was on trial. Across from her sat Professor Kelvin 9, whose skin hadn't stopped changing colors since they'd entered. To her left was Dean Morpheus 4, an elderly Vraxian whose tenure at the university predated most galactic treaties. To her right sat 3 members of the Xenobiology Council, attending via hologram from their headquarters halfway across the galaxy. The center hologram flickered, and a Quilarian with silver-tipped feathers materialized. Her name tag read, Counselor Vexa. She looked tired. Miss Reed, Vexa began without preamble. Do you have any idea what you have done? Emma blinked. I corrected a classification error. You started a panic, interrupted the second counselor, a Draxian named Gormeth. His 3 mouths were not synchronized, creating an unsettling echo effect. Within 2 hours of your revelation, the galactic net exploded. There are currently 17,000 discussion threads analyzing humanity. 400 news organizations have requested interviews with you specifically. And the Galactic Stock Exchange dropped 4% because traders are worried about economic implications. Economic implications of bears? Emma asked weakly. Economic implications of humans coming from a world that, by all accounts, should not produce sentient life, snapped the third counselor, a being whose species Emma didn't recognize. It looked like a floating mass of tendrils with bioluminescent patterns, a world that produces many apex predators. Dean Morpheus 4 cleared his throat, which sounded like rocks grinding together. Perhaps we should start from the beginning. Miss Reed, the Council needs you to provide a comprehensive overview of Earth's ecosystem. Specifically the dangerous elements. All of them? Emma asked. Yes, all of them. That could take a while. We have time, Vexa said grimly. The whole galaxy is waiting for answers. Emma took a deep breath. Okay. So, Earth, 3rd planet from our sun. About 70% water, 30% land. We have varied climates ranging from frozen poles to tropical rainforests to vast deserts. Our atmosphere is about 21% oxygen. 21%? Gormath interrupted. That is unusually high. Is it? Emma paused. I guess we never thought about it. That's just normal for us. Professor Kelvin 9 was frantically taking notes. Miss Reed, high oxygen content supports larger organisms and more energetic metabolisms. It also makes your planet significantly more flammable. How do you handle wildfires? Well, they happen pretty regularly, especially in dry seasons. We have fire departments, firefighters, aerial water drops. Sometimes fires burn for weeks or months before we can contain them. The room went quiet. The tendril being's lights flickered rapidly, which Emma was learning meant distress. Moving on, Emma continued nervously. Predators. We covered some in class. Polar bears, great white sharks, crocodiles. Should I go through more? Please, Vexa said, though she sounded like she was dreading it. Emma pulled up her data pad and started listing them. Okay, so for big cats we have lions, tigers, leopards, jaguars, cougars, cheetahs. Cheetahs are the fastest land animals. They can hit 70 miles per hour in short bursts. 70 miles. That's approximately 113 kilometers per hour. Kelvin 9 translated for the others. Several gasps echoed through the room. Then we have wolves, which hunt in packs with complex social hierarchies and sophisticated communication. Hyenas, which have incredibly powerful jaws and often steal kills from other predators. Komodo dragons, which are these large lizards with venomous bites that cause their prey to go into shock and die slowly. They use venom? Chemical warfare? The tendril being was pulsing rapidly now. I mean, lots of earth creatures use venom. Snakes, spiders, scorpions, jellyfish, certain fish, some mammals even. It's pretty common, Gormath repeated, all three mouths hanging open. What about aerial predators? Kelvin 9 asked, his skin now a sickly green. Eagles, hawks, falcons, owls. They have incredible vision, can spot prey from miles away, and dive at ridiculous speeds. Some owls hunt in complete darkness using only sound. Oh, and we have these things called cassowaries, which are flightless birds that can disembowel you with their claws. Disembowel, Dean Morpheus 4 said faintly. With claws. Flightless birds. Emma nodded enthusiastically, warming to her subject now. Yeah, they're pretty territorial. Australia has a lot of dangerous stuff, actually. Box jellyfish with venom that can kill you in minutes. Blue-ringed octopus. Tiny thing. Also deadly venomous. Saltwater crocodiles, which I mentioned. Inland taipan, the most venomous snake in the world. Sydney funnel-web spiders. Aggressive and venomous. Oh, and drop bears. Drop bears? Vexa asked suspiciously. Just kidding about that one, Emma grinned. Those are a myth, but people still warn tourists about them. You joke about predators. Gormath seemed personally offended. Well, yeah, I mean, you have to have a sense of humor about it. Otherwise you'd never go outside. Counselor Vexa made a note on her datapad. Miss Reed, approximately how often do humans encounter these predators? Depends where you live. If you're in a city, almost never. If you're in rural areas or wilderness, more often. My cousin in Montana sees bears a few times a year. My friend in Australia has to check her shoes for spiders every morning. It's just part of life. Just part of life, the dean repeated hollowly. What about the environmental hazards you mentioned? Kelvin 9 asked. The extreme weather, right? Okay, so we have hurricanes, which are massive rotating storm systems with winds over 150 miles per hour. Tornadoes, which are like concentrated spinning columns of air that can pick up cars, and how tsunamis, giant waves caused by underwater earthquakes that can be 100 feet tall. Earthquakes themselves, obviously, where the ground shakes and cracks. Volcanic eruptions that spew molten rock and toxic gas, avalanches, landslides, floods, droughts, blizzards where you can't see 3 feet in front of you. The holographic counselors were staring at her. Not blinking. Just staring. Oh, and lightning storms, Emma added. Those are pretty cool, actually. Giant electrical discharges from the sky. Can start fires or kill you if they hit you directly. But mostly they're just dramatic. Electrical discharges from the sky, Vexa said slowly. That just happen. Regular. Yeah, we get millions of lightning strikes per day globally. It's a weather thing. Professor Kelvin 9 stood up abruptly. Excuse me. I need a moment. He walked to the corner of the room and appeared to be doing breathing exercises. Dean Morpheus 4 took over. Miss Reed, Emma, I want you to understand something. The average habitable world in the galaxy has what we call a stability rating. Most rate between 1 and 3, with 3 being moderately challenging. Earth, based on what you are describing, would rate somewhere around a 9 or 10.
Out of 10?
Out of 5. We have never had to create a category above 5 before. Emma sat back in her chair. Oh, indeed, the dean continued. Now here is what concerns us. Humans have been part of the galactic community for 4 decades. In that time you have established 17 colonies, created trade agreements with 43 species, and integrated into galactic society remarkably well. Everyone assumed you came from a normal world, a stable world. But we don't, Emma finished. No. You come from a world that would terrify most species. A world that, frankly, explains a great deal about human behavior that we found puzzling. Counselor Vexa spoke up. Miss Reed, humans have a reputation in the galaxy. You are known for being adaptable, resilient, and somewhat reckless. You volunteer for dangerous jobs. You explore hazardous regions. You have the lowest risk aversion scores of any species we have studied. We thought this was cultural. Now we understand it is environmental. You were forged in fire, Gormath added, and for once all three mouths spoke in unison. Shaped by a world that throws everything at you. You didn't just survive Earth. You conquered it. No wonder you look at the rest of the galaxy and see opportunities instead of threats. Emma felt a strange mix of pride and embarrassment. We're really not that special. We just do what we have to do. That right there, Kelvin 9 said, returning from his corner. That attitude. Do you know how a Calarian would respond to encountering a polar bear? Run away, freeze in terror, probably die of shock before the bear even reached them. Do you know how a Vraxian would respond to a hurricane? Seek shelter, evacuate the entire continent and declare it uninhabitable. Miss Reed, your species' baseline for survival is another species apocalypse scenario. The tendril being pulsed softly. This explains the incident last year. Everyone turned to look at it. The being's patterns shifted in what might have been embarrassment. There was a mining accident on Station Kelper 7. Structural collapse. Toxic gas leak. Fires breaking out. 300 workers from various species. Complete chaos. Everyone was panicking. Trying to evacuate. And then the human engineer, what was his name? Marcus Webb? Dean Morpheus 4 supplied. Yes. Him. He ran into the disaster. Not away from it. He went into the collapsed sections. Found survivors. Carried them out. He sealed the gas leak with his bare hands, suffering chemical burns. He organized the evacuation while the rest of us were barely functional from fear. We thought he was either incredibly brave or insane. He was just being human. Emma said quietly. Exactly. The tendril being agreed. On Earth, that kind of crisis is probably just Tuesday. Actually, Emma said. Tuesday we usually have staff meetings. Much more boring than industrial disasters. Several beings in the room made sounds that might have been laughter or sobs. It was hard to tell. Counselor Vexa straightened up, her holographic form shimmering. This brings us to the reason we called this meeting. Miss Reed, the Galactic Council needs to make some decisions about humanity and Earth. Specifically, we need to decide how to classify your planet and your species going forward. What are the options? Emma asked carefully. Well, Vexa began, we could classify Earth as a hazard world and restrict access to it. This would protect other species from accidentally visiting and being killed by your wildlife or weather. That seems extreme. Or Gormath continued. We could classify humans as a high-risk species and place restrictions on your activities in galactic space. Limit where you can travel, what jobs you can take, that sort of thing. That seems unfair. Or, the tendril being offered. We could do nothing. Acknowledge that humans are unusual but allow you to continue as you have been. Though this option makes many council members nervous. Why? Emma asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. Because, Miss Reed, Vexa said bluntly, you are apex predators. Not in the sense of hunting other species, but in the sense of being shaped by a world of apex predators. You are adaptable, aggressive when needed, and apparently fear nothing. Many species find this frightening. Emma thought about this for a long moment. The room waited. Counselors, she finally said. I understand the concern. Really, I do. But here's the thing. Yes, Earth is dangerous. Yes, humans have had to adapt to survive there. But that same environment taught us other things too. It taught us cooperation, because no human survives alone on Earth. It taught us empathy because we had to care for injured or sick members of our groups. It taught us innovation, because we had to constantly solve new problems. The challenges didn't just make us tough, they made us human. A pretty speech, Gormath said, though not unkindly. But pretty speeches do not change biology. You are what your world made you. Then what we are, Emma countered, is survivors who learn to thrive. We don't see the galaxy as something to conquer or dominate. We see it as amazing. Do you know why humans are so eager to explore space? Because after surviving Earth, the rest of the universe seems full of wonder instead of terror. To us, a stable planet with mild weather and small predators sounds like paradise. Professor Kelvin 9's skin had shifted to a thoughtful blue. She has a point. Human tourists consistently rate peaceful worlds most highly. They seek out calm environments. The dangerous behaviors we observe are in contexts where danger is already present. They are not creating it. And the adaptability? Vexa pressed. The risk-taking. Would you rather have humans who panic in emergencies? Emma asked. Because that's the alternative. We can either be the species that stays calm during disasters, or we can be the species that freezes up. Earth didn't give us the luxury of choosing anything else. Dean Morpheus 4 chuckled. A sound like grinding granite. The child has you there, Vexa. I have seen humans during 3 separate station emergencies. While other species were screaming, the humans were solving problems. Annoying, perhaps, but useful. The 3 counselors looked at each other. Their holographic forms flickered as they seemed to have a private conversation. Finally, Vexa spoke. Miss Reed, we will take your words under advisement. The council will deliberate and make a decision within the next cycle. In the meantime, we ask that you prepare a comprehensive report on Earth's ecosystem. A real one, with proper documentation. The galaxy needs to understand what humanity is, and where you come from. I can do that, Emma agreed. And, Miss Reed? Vexa added. One more thing. The footage of the polar bear. The creature you identified. We need to update our xenobiology database. Do you happen to know how many other creatures in our apex predator collection are actually from Earth? Emma winced. Can I look at the list? Kelvin 9 pulled it up on the main display. Emma scanned through it. Her expression grew more and more uncomfortable. So, she said slowly, the razor wing from the beginning of class. That's a golden eagle. The pack stalkers. Those are gray wolves. The abyssal lurker is a gulper eel. The titan crushers are elephants, though that footage makes them look way scarier than they usually are. And the swarm queens are just army ants. The silence in the room was deafening. Just army ants, Gormath repeated. Just army ants. We classified them as a planetary level threat. I mean, they can be dangerous if you're in their path, Emma offered. But mostly you just, move out of the way. Professor Kelvin 9 sat down heavily. 30 years. I have been teaching about Earth predators for 30 years and calling them aliens. I am never going to live this down. On the bright side, Emma said cheerfully, at least now you know they're all from the same planet. That's gotta make the taxonomy easier. Miss Reed, the dean said wearily, please leave before I have an existential crisis. Emma gathered her things and stood. As she reached the door, Counselor Vexa called out, Miss Reed? For what it's worth, I don't think humanity should be restricted. Frightening or not, the galaxy needs people who don't know when to give up. Emma smiled. Thank you, Counselor. That means a lot. As she left the conference room and headed toward the elevators, her datapad buzzed. Messages from other human students at the university. Did you really tell them Earth has 30-meter waves? Everyone is freaking out about the polar bear thing. It's hilarious. My roommate asked if I'm dangerous. I told her only before coffee. Emma laughed. The elevator doors opened, and she stepped inside. As they closed, she caught a glimpse of Professor Kelvin 9 through the conference room windows. He was gesturing wildly, his skin cycling through every color in rapid succession while the counselors watched. Earth, Emma reflected, was going to take some explaining. But that was okay. Humans were good at adapting. It was, after all, what they'd been doing since the beginning. The elevator descended, and Emma wondered what other Earth animals were in the galactic database under scary alien names. Probably a lot. Maybe she'd make that her semester project. Professor Kelvin 9 would either love it or have a breakdown. Possibly both. Outside, through the elevator's glass walls, she could see the campus spreading out below. Students from dozens of species moving between buildings, studying, talking, living their lives. And somewhere out there, the galaxy was learning that humans came from a world that would give most of them nightmares. Emma grinned. This was going to be fun. The elevator reached the ground floor, and the doors opened. Time to get back to class. After all, she had an essay due on comparative xenobiology. And now she had plenty to write about. Behind her in the conference room 73 floors above, Professor Kelvin 9 was probably still explaining to the council how he'd spent 3 decades teaching about Earth animals without realizing it. In front of her, the campus stretched out under an alien sun, full of beings who were just discovering that humanity's normal was their nightmare. And Emma Reed, human student from Earth, walked forward into her strange new reality where she was simultaneously just another student and a representative of the galaxy's most terrifying apex predator species. She really hoped they'd still let her join the xenobiology club. Things were just getting interesting.